welcome back to the GitLab Duo Coffee Chat. This time again with some C++ code, if you will. We want to continue the learning curve from last week. So we have a C++ project. We have some user management implemented with SQLite to learn about the APIs, how to use a database backend, and also improve error handling. We have wrapped specific functions in C into C++ code, but there is still refactoring missing. We want to add maybe more. We want to add tests for these specific functions, automate things, and maybe even consider object-oriented programming at this stage, because there already is a function, not a function. There are already structs being created here. So what I actually want to do here is I can look into refactoring the source code, look into how is the current database structure being implemented, and we did a little pre-work already. So we have some functions to abstract the SQLite database handle away. So the consumer or the function caller doesn't need to know about the internals for SQLite for error handling. Most of the functions will also throw a C++ exception, so everything should be safe. But we want to continue refactor and improve the code. Last week we also optimized the database schema for auto increments, which resulted in an off-by-one error and debugging seg faults. But I said it to my team this week when sharing the recording. If I wouldn't have had the help with GitLab Duo Chat explaining why a function could seg fault, I would have probably, the session would have taken 6 hours or more, trying to figure out why things are failing. But honestly, I'm also using macOS with LLDB, which is a different debugging experience to Linux and GDB. So we might also do some Linux programming in the future. I also had a coffee chat today with someone from our SRE teams. We might be looking into C and eBPF. Don't know if this works, but it could also be worth a try deep down. But anyhow, I'm talking too much. For now, we want to continue refactoring and optimizing the C++ code. And I want to cheat a little bit at least and remind myself what I wanted to do earlier. This was around, asking GitLab Duo Chat, explain a generic database implementation using a base class and SQLite specific class using C++, provide source code examples and steps to explain, or steps to follow. We already wrote explain. And I'm hoping refining the prompt to explain give the purpose of what I'm trying to do, object-oriented implementation, providing some details using a base class, inheriting from the base class with SQLite functionality should be enough. We can always refine that based on the knowledge we have. Essentially, I want to figure out what we can do. And AI, you cannot predict the output. So here's an example of implementing that. We can also refine that. I tested some things earlier today where I got a longer response. So we might be able to refine the prompt or just get started here and then consider an implementation. So it proposes class database, virtual bool execute query, and passing in a query string. It's a virtual interface So the interface is like the assignment operator and 0. It's a pure virtual function. So this, I know what it does, but we can also ask Duo Chat what it is. But the next step is like to implement the function in an inherited database. So the inheritance in C++ works like that. You write class, then the class name, colon, and whether you want to like publicly inherit the upper database, the upper class, for example. You could also use private and things like that. The other thing we kind of see here is the functions are public in the class, but the SQLite handler is private. So in this example, execute query is a good approach. Passing SQLite functions. Yeah, we need to like follow more refactoring here, but this is a good approach. For now, we don't want to use the same header files and the same source files. So we want to create a pure virtual function. And before I'm doing that, I also want to use GitLab Duo Chat as a knowledge base here and ask how or what is a pure virtual function and what is required for the developer inheriting from that class function class. Just to get more insights into what a pure virtual function is. And I vividly remember like 20 years ago staring at my screen was like pure virtual function. I have no idea what this means. My professor, my teachers couldn't really explain it to me as well. So I was like, okay, then I'm using copy paste. But it's great to being able to ask someone. So it's when a class contains a pure virtual function, it becomes an abstract class that cannot be instantiated. Okay. Any class inheriting from the abstract class must implement a pure virtual function. Otherwise, it will also become an abstract class. Okay, and I think the compiler will also fail if you don't implement that. So in our example, the execute query class is pure virtual. It's not implemented in the base class, but we will implement it for SQLite. And in order to do so, we need to prepare a little bit, at least. We need to create like a new file here, which is, should we call it DB underscore SQLite? Yeah, maybe this is best practice. Following the same schema. And we also want to create a new file, which is DB underscore SQLite. So defining the purpose and then the implementation specific detail. Future versions could mean like DB underscore PostgreSQL or something like that. Then it's more or less a little bit of copy paste. Not for that, don't need to use any sort of code suggestions, but we also need to rename that to SQLite, and this is also the macro guardian for this one. For SQLite, we need to keep the header. We want to, yeah, let's figure that out later on. The user is not necessary here. I think the user also needs to be moved somewhere else. But we need to figure that out. The database struct should be refactored. And for that, we can also say, well, please, okay, before doing so, yeah, let's maybe ensure that we are following what we actually want to do here. Or maybe not. Yeah, let's try it. I'm curious what happens. Because we know we can use refactor and refining the prompt and say refactor in into a class with public functions and private path DB attributes inherit from the base class DB, and then see how it goes. We still need to create the base class DB. We didn't do that yet, but it's one way to approach the problem and say, first I want to consider like what I have here, and then create the upper class, or move it the other way around and say, well, I'm creating the base class or the interface. What else can I do? Create a new class SQLiteDB, that inherits from DB, move paths into private attributes, made the functions public of the class, remove the DB, the methods. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so what I didn't tell you is like when SQLite is when the database handler, the path is in the class and an object is instantiated from that class, we don't need to use it as a function parameter. It's redundant. And later on, we can access this. How to access the DB parameter from the class inside class functions. I mean, yeah, I would assume it's this, or like using the keyword this, but let's see how it goes, because there are also variations with like static attributes in a class, which don't get replicated or created for all instantiations, but only exist for a single purpose. But over here, we have private and, oh yeah, actually we can just access it as a private member directly. Was mistaken. But this is great feedback. We can, to some degree, create user open close is named differently, but this is okay. Let's just copy that and see how far we can get. We have the SQLiteDB. We want to implement, what is that? Ah, okay, we didn't implement that yet. But we have this definition, and we also want to remove that. It should, oh yeah, we don't have that defined. I mean, it's there, it's a struct, but it's not there yet. I need to include, can it help me? Can it not? I'm not sure about it. Okay, now this does make sense, but we know what we want to do. We need to include this one, maybe separate it from the other includes. We need the user, which is defined in SQLite. This is over here. And we also, we don't want to use that. We can also try to refactor that. Refactor into a base class with pure virtual functions. Does it work this way? I think so. Probably all of these functions should be implemented. Called DB. remove the SQLite specific parts. Interesting to see what the result is. I mean, we can also create like an empty class DB and have no attributes and just implement open and close, for instance. But it would be, I'm still interested in getting an insight what happens here. And I can presumably copy paste something. Let's see. What else do we have here? We can open connection, close connection. I mean, the proposal for the names are like different every time. Removed in the DB, which now contains only pure virtual functions. Existing code can inherit from DB and provide implementations. This separates the interfaces from the implementation. This is actually my goal. Or there's an example of how it can inherit that, which is great. We don't need that, but still copy that and delete it later on. We have this class. And I actually like the name open connection and close connection more. So quick and dirty. Let's go here. Oops, this was not expected. And let's say close. Oh, actually it knows because we included it and there's auto completion available. So the thing that it is missing is like the implementation. But for the DB class, we don't need to implement anything because everything is virtual. Let's maybe group that together. Create, insert, print, delete, delete, update. Yeah, it makes sense. We don't need this one. The struct is gone. And I mean, I can try compiling it, but it will fail. We want to create a new terminal and navigate into build. Oops. Call CMake. And the terminal for some reason is relatively small today. Navigate again, CMake build. Okay, yeah, this is expected. But it's also a great way to show that we didn't implement these pure virtual functions yet, because we need to implement them over here, which doesn't have any effect yet. So we need to include DB SQLite here, and we want to copy this one. I mean, essentially we will copy, or we will not copy, we will move. Remove here, insert here, keep the, actually it's, should have, yeah, I need to change the include strategy in this one as well, because first comes what we want to include and then the implementation specific ones. Do I need, no, this suggestion is not needed. Create user table. Okay, now I need to figure out open connection was the name. Let's fix the naming first. But we also need to do something else. Create user table. Let's see if we have that. Create user table. We have insert user. Okay, insert user exists. I mean, refactoring is a larger task, but I think what we can do is like, let's ask refactor the functions to become members of the SQLite class and remove the redundant DB parameter, because we can use that inline in the function. And then we kind of need to replace it to become DB in all function bodies. I'm not sure if this works, but what I've seen just now is we cannot use the struct anymore. We will access DB directly. We also need to remove it from the function parameter here. And then there is the assignment missing into the class. Currently, it's implemented in the local CPP file and nobody knows a thing about it. While this is looking for an answer, we also added a new file here. So we still need to remember that. We need to add the source code from DB _ SQLite into here. So it actually also compiles. It might find something, but it will still fail. So we don't have the methods here. And for some reason, I'm reaching a timeout again. But it could also be the problem that it's a huge source code I was selecting. And the problem is sometimes the token is too big or it's a connection issue or whatever. I'm not keen on debugging that right now. I just want to use a different approach. If refactoring doesn't work, how to add a function implementation to a class in a CPP file. Let's try that. I can also try copying unimplemented, trying a different approach and ask whether how to solve the problem unimplemented pure virtual method update email. Could also be a way to focus on that. But I'm hoping for a beginner summary, and there it goes on the right-hand side. To add a function implementation to a class in a separate CPP file in C++, you need to declare the function prototype in the class definition in the header file, which we did. Define, and the second step is to define the implementation in the CPP file referencing the class name. Okay, we have included the class name, and then it's the prefix. It's the class name and double colon function name at the body. Class name is followed by scope resolution operator. Okay, this is the official name. For me, it was always 2 colons to define the namespace or scope. Actually, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's try that. We want to write here SQLite DB. Oh, this was not expected. Open connection. Should we call it DB SQLite or SQLite DB? Yeah, let's maybe stick with open connection. There it says it's not compatible because our definition is wrong, because we don't have this parameter here. And I can start typing. What else is wrong? New problem. Yeah, why is it not compatible? Hello? Can you please give me an error? Did we change that into, no, it is int open connection. Okay. Oh, okay, now I understand the problem. We don't have the path here, so we need to find a different way to initialize the path variable. Let's ask how to initialize the path and DB class attributes. And my expectation here is that it will provide me an answer when to instantiate the object to override the default constructor and pass along the values or the assignment values for the path and database. Okay. Yeah, I can do it inside the class constructor, but how to pass the variables? Okay, let's refine the question. How to pass values to class attributes through the class constructor call. Actually, a call or creation when we instantiate the object. And I mean, the first thing we need to do is, and there's also the destructor, but I don't think we will need that. For some reason, the indent is a little off. Let's fix that. Probably my settings. We need to. Oh, now code suggestions is back in the house. Hello again. We can use that. It's not using. Can use DB name. I think I still need that. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I can implement the constructor, but in this case, I just want to assign the values. So let's assume constring DB name. No, yeah, DB name could be an option. I'm still not sure. I'm still not sure how to call it later on. But my initial thought was like using the base class just for creating a database, but let's focus on SQLite first. So we have the database path. Let's call it DB path. That makes sense. No. DB path, maybe. And the table name in this case. I want to initialize. Do I need to pass? No, I don't need to pass the one. But I can use, and this is a special form of just assigning the attributes. I can say that I want to initialize attribute 1, attribute 2. Okay. From the 10. Okay, so I can say path should be path. Exactly. Now you know what I want to do. But it doesn't like it. Expected. Do I still? Oh yeah. I need to create this. Create it this way. So it overrides this one. And then it also makes sense to have the deconstructor if we want to do something special here, but I'm not sure if it's needed. Do we need to implement it? Let's remove it. So now we have our constructor, which initializes the path to the database so that Open Connection can move on. And the idea here is that Open Connection doesn't take any specifics. The specifics are stored on the object instantiation, and we can just call the function. This should work. And I mean, in order to, I'm not sure if, yeah, let's just fix the remaining parts here, but I was wondering if, yeah, maybe let's scope it down. Can we? Or I recently learned there's a function in Visual Studio Code to comment everything, which is like you select it and then you press Shift/. No. Was it command slash? Command slash is, at least on macOS, it's command slash. So this also works vice versa. So I can like comment it out again, which I think is great because the comment blocks don't work reliably. And we also want to close, we want to like remove that, and then see whether, no, it will not work. Can we compile the source code? I think not, because we are lacking the, oh yeah, now we need to implement all the functions. This is not a viable solution now. But to think through it, let's keep this one attached or inside, and this one. We need to fix the parameters, remove that, fix the inline database handle, and also add the functions to the class. So the first thing we can do is just, this is probably me, I like copy paste. We will add that to the class. So we will also get some error highlighting that the signature doesn't match, which is a great first step. Then once this is fixed, we can look into fixing the parameters. And I mean, probably could have done like some regex replace, but it's okay. It helps us verify what is actually in here. What we want to remove is, and I can probably do that with search and replace here, replace it with nothing. I think this is replace all. Okay, now we have removed everything, which should help us with the function interface. And the remaining part is, and we will remember that we want to replace this one with db.db just with db, like the attribute is called. Let's replace everything. And the red marker should be gone now. Or maybe not. Oh, print users. Print users didn't work with the regular expression, or like with the replace statement, because there was a colon in there. Okay, this is me. Let's do it manually again and verified. So this is all good, but we still need to use, we cannot use DB path, but we need to use the path string, or do we call it path? Let's see. I think it's defined as SQLite path. Okay, it's actually path as a C string, calling the SQLite interface to open a handle and store it in the DB handle. DB is inside the function. So if we save that, and I think I've autosave enabled, this should actually do something. The only problem is that the main CPP will fail. Oh, actually, we didn't implement certain functions yet. Insert create table. DB is an abstract class. Okay, this is main CPP, which we need to fix and update. And then we also need to figure out virtual int open connection, but we implemented that. Int open connection. Oh, yeah, okay. This is the problem. It still needs to be a virtual function. So, or does it have to be? I think so. Because then the error will go away. No. Okay, virtual int open connection. We are inheriting from DB public. Then, like learned from last week, let's ask, explain how the error for unimplemented pure virtual method in DB can be created. I mean, it's a different approach, like asking how to create an error, how to receive an error, what did I do wrong. I'm still like, even though I know C++ for like 20 years now, still wouldn't consider myself an expert level engineer. I haven't touched it in a while now. But sometimes I kind of remember certain errors. But in this case, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah. This is when you don't touch code for a while. Pure virtual function makes the class abstract, and it must override and implement the pure virtual function. Otherwise, it will also become okay. This error occurs at compile time. Okay, this is what I'm looking at. When you try to instantiate a derived class that inherits from DB but does not override open connection. Okay, we are not overriding it, we are just implementing it ourselves. Okay, to fix it, the error needs to implement the open connection function. Okay, we don't need to declare with a virtual, but we need to override. Probably it makes sense to use virtual override, but we need to use, yeah, if I can type, we need to use override here. And I think it makes sense to use virtual here, but I'm not sure. Let's ask. Should I use virtual override instead of just override? Maybe this is a little less context, but maybe in the conversation it makes sense. And while it's thinking it's a good time to get a coffee, or like for me it's a little late today. It's nearly 7 p.m. Central European time. So, okay, AI doesn't know. Let's refine the question. To be honest, the question was not great. When implementing a pure virtual function in an inherited class, should I use virtual function override or just function override? Context is C++. And this is something I learned, like it's better to provide more context or more like insights in the prompt itself. Think about what is needed to answer the question, like you're talking to a human, using low context communication, what is needed to follow up, even though you're not part of the conversation, instead of relying on past conversations or existing source code or whatnot. But I wanted to really understand, you should both the virtual and override keywords. Okay, my memory didn't mistake me, but for some reason there was no suggestion. Virtual indicate is a virtual function that can be overridden in derived classes. Okay, yeah, I could theoretically inherit SQLiteDB version whatever, and then override the function again, which I think makes sense if, for example, PostgreSQL would provide a new version of the C library interface. PostgreSQL, I don't know, is it 14, 15? Maybe 20 will provide a new version. Then it could make sense like to inherit again and provide a specific interface, which maybe adds new flags or uses something else. What makes sense to use virtual int override, virtual function call override. So this is a great answer. This was helpful. And actually, this one was also helpful. I should do that more. It's more like I'm liking things and I'm helping improve the answers. But I can also do it later on because the session is stored unless I type in /reset, which you will also get like / and then you have reset, tests, refactor, and explain. Tests. Test is something we want to do once we have refactored that into some object-oriented code. But there is still a little work to do because we need to, now I'm a little lazy here. Can I refactor to use virtual override pattern? Does this work? I mean, I could like write a certain like replace the beginning with virtual something and end with override something. But I'm wondering if there is potential help to just do that on a one-click basis. Maybe there's also a shortcut in Visual Studio Code that I don't know about. Oh, nice. Actually, that looks pretty much what I wanted to have. Now I'm really the lazy developer who doesn't want to figure out things. I mean, still need to like fix the indent a little bit. Yeah, this doesn't override create user table. We wanted to create a user table. We wanted to delete that. Never function declared with override doesn't override a base class member. I thought we had that. Create table. Ah, create user table. Ah, there's a difference. Print user, insert user. For some reason we had. Can I open this into? No, I don't want to close it. I want to split up. I don't know. Right? Does that make sense? Okay, I want to compare that, and maybe it makes sense to resize that a little bit. We have open connection close to create table. Ah, okay, we didn't. There is a mismatch between this one. Oh, that's no, this is not implemented. This is implemented. So SQLite open connection just create user table. Okay, this is here. What else do we have? Insert user, insert users. The problem is, okay, we're keeping our names, but the main function doesn't exist yet. But we can. I mean, I'm super lazy now. We can ask refactor create pure virtual function interfaces from the given functions. Let's see if that works. I mean, I'm just looking for virtual int create user table and then assignment operator 0. If that works, I'm happy. If not, I mean, can also do it myself, fixing the names, but I'm still wondering if this is like possible to generate code again. And then we can like finally start fixing things. Okay. This is the implementation and these are the helper functions. Hello again. This is actually more than I wanted, but I like it. So it's great to have like the base class and also the example. So like if I want to like start a new, I can also like copy that and benefit from it. So what I have here is this one, and we actually need to fix, not the CMake, we need to fix this one. So we have create table, and we want to have this one. Print user. No, we have print users already over there. I'm curious. Print users. Does that make sense? Print users? How did we implement that? Okay, let's verify that in a bit. Let's try to compile it again. It still fails because user email and users. We didn't implement anything. Open connection is not implemented. But we have it here. For some reason, this is not. Close connection. Open connection, close connection. Okay, createUserTable is here. Then we have this one. Okay, let's try to understand that better. Insert users, insert user, print users. Should we still like, was the virtual a mistake? Let's try that. No. That's a little odd here because I've implemented public DB. Do I need to do anything else here? Close connection in DB. This is pure virtual, okay. But it fails for everything. Maybe the error is maybe the error is because I'm instantiating the DB class here. Because this is the first error I'm actually like looking at. Let's include and the source files as well. Refactor into draft. Let's maybe save that and then try more things. I might be changing a lot with different approaches, so it could make sense to save that. But first of all, okay, now I can close them again. Let's just try to fix this one and use let's use DB SQLite and SQLite. Oops. How did I SQLiteDB? Maybe? Hello? Yeah. Okay, let's create that object, and this should also be like, we should change it in the configuration option. And the main difference is now we now have an object and we need to call the function. But oh, yeah. Okay. Deep down into how to instantiate an object from a class in C++. Call the constructor with the SQLite DB path and call the functions. Prefer pointers. I mean, I do know somehow I want to use a pointer for the object, but I also want to understand it. Either I change that to db.openCon, which will also work, but I'm not super keen on passing or copying an object all the time. Okay, so what do we need to do here? Yeah, I don't want to use a raw pointer, but it's what I actually wanted to do. Maybe there's a way to use either shared pointer. Let's refine that question. Yeah. Shared pointers. Explain which header includes necessary. I think shared pointers. Yeah, shared pointers is a C++ 11, but I think the project requires 11 or 14. The reason why I'm now looking for a different option is if I use new, I also need to clean up after myself. So at the end, I need to delete the object, which then invokes the destructor on the class. But maybe there's a way to use a shared pointer, which then allocates the memory and like creates the object. And when the scope is gone, like at the end of the main function here, the object destroys itself. So it's like it uses reference counting. And as long as there is a reference count greater than 0, the object will not be destroyed. And this is a super useful mechanism to pass shared pointers, for example, over threads, and just ensure that the lifetime is there. And you don't have to like copy things around or figure that out. It's also a great way like to avoid certain memory leaks that could occur when you allocate some memory and you cannot free it immediately because something else async might depend on it. But it's also a principle or like a pattern I needed to learn in 2012. I needed, I think, 3 times different developers explaining it to me. And after a while, I kind of figured this is a good principle with reference counting. But we can also like ask GitLab Duo Chat what reference counting means. Please explain how shared pointers and reference counting lifetime works. So, I mean, I know I have learned it the hard way. Maybe nowadays it's easier to learn it the easy way, or at least with a little help from AI. Now, until it's like searching for something, let's figure out what we want to do. We have like this class. Shared pointer requires it's the memory include. Okay, let's include. Also do that later, but I'm a fan of doing it immediately. Let's include memory in the standard class. We don't need to. No, we don't need to include the SQLite thing here. We have that already. And we also want to declare a class in, just checking whether we're still recording, so nothing is lost. Okay, let's focus. We want to haha, no, Duo Chat was helpful to answer C++ questions in the past hour. Please continue explaining basic programming concepts. These are super helpful for developers to learn and improve. Please continue with explaining C++ core concepts. I am learning a lot here. Thanks. Not sure what will happen now, but I think of I'm thinking of like a human here and encouraging to just continue because I think it's helpful. And the feedback I provided gets into our product and engineering teams to address. But okay, yeah, it doesn't like me anymore. Anyhow, I can also use a different approach to say, well, let's ask Duo code suggestions to create a shared pointer for SQLite and call the open connection function. Let's see if that works. Oh yeah, it does that in one go. Yeah, you can create a shared pointer, and we need to call std make shared on the object, and we can, in that same method or same step, we can add the path to the database, which is great. I still want to not accept that. Define the SQLite path in a variable, default value database. Let's use that one. And see. Oh yeah, it knows that. So we can reuse the database path string if it makes sense, or replace that with a command line parameter or program argument. What's it? No, it's program options using the Boost framework, for example. With a shared pointer, and we call. Oh, it uses the same context here, so I probably should remove that and ask again to ensure we are on a blank line, because I specifically asked to call the open connection function, which it does here, but it's no. For SQLite on the SQLite object from the SQLite class. Is this a better prompt? I don't know. I mean, it's a little too specific, but on the other side, it creates good documentation, because the prompt requires you to do a little more. For some reason, the indent doesn't work. SQLite is okay, yeah. I need to be more specific for SQLite class or connection to on new pointer or something like that. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's more like figuring out which command prompt, like comment prompt, could work for code suggestions. I mean, consider that I need to write that all by myself. Like std shared pointer, this works. The DB path is not passed. This is the open connection DB path. No, this doesn't make sense. So for some reason it doesn't understand. It doesn't understand what I need. So let's break it up. Try a different approach here. We define the SQLite path in variable. Okay, done. Then next step. Create a shared pointer for the SQLite DB class. And like go with line by line. Then it uses the DB path. This is great. And the next step is to open a database connection For some reason, it doesn't know database connection for the on the SQLite class. Maybe this is a context problem because I'm using a header file. Maybe there's a way to like provide more context on all the open files or pass specifically the included file which I'm referring here. Using maybe OpenCon would have been a better on the class. Yeah, at least this one works. I'm not super satisfied, but okay. Now we have DB open connection. The next thing is we don't want to pass the DB handle, and we also want to call the function. So DB create this one, insert user. So essentially we are calling functions on the database object, not database object, on the shared pointer. And we also need to remove the DB connection, the DB connection handle, because this is part of the class now. So DB shared pointer not print users. Why? Okay. Print users is not it's using a select on the database. It doesn't have to, doesn't need any sort of special handling or special inputs. Delete user. Okay. I think we need to fix the error handling here. To do refactor error handling. We don't want to do that here. And this one is quite the same. To-do statements are great because you have probably a lot of them in your source code, but there are linting tools which allow to extract that and then generate issues for it. Error handling. And what else can we do here is this: update user email, remove the database thing, and print users again. I mean, we could also have done search and replace, but in this case, I really want to make sure to go over the source code and collect things which haven't been done yet, like tables. This is not great, but let's see. Oh, now I have a problem. Okay, we need to fix that immediately because we don't have access to that anymore. Because if I do this one, this is not allowed. And you will see it's private. Yeah, it's private. We can make it public as a temporary solution, but it's not what you should normally do. So it's better to take a step back and refactor that as well. Print users on the database handle, and then we have like insert users, and again print users, and we also want to close the database connection. I think it's called close connection. Yes, on the pointer, and let's try to build that. Yeah, this doesn't work. Warning, close connection overrides a memory. It is not marked override. Okay, what did I do wrong here? This one. Close connection misses an override. Okay. Tip from, or like hint from my side, never ignore compiler warnings, because they are useful. And if your build shows a lot of compiler warnings and you don't fix that, you might run into casting different types of values, leading to unexpected results and whatnot. So member DB, okay. We will fix that in a bit. But is a private member. This is what I expected. Let's ask GitLab Duo Chat. I'm not giving up on C++ questions. I still know what's running in the background, and I think the language model can explain that. Explain the error. And while it's searching, let's drink something so I can we can continue thinking out loud, because otherwise this session would be boring. Now we don't have db.db. Let's see. We want to fix that. Oh, if I just copy paste an error, I get an explanation. Yeah. To fix it, only use the public interface of SQLiteDB and don't access the private DB attribute directly. Yep. So I'm not changing something to public here, which should remain private. But instead, we want to implement the missing functionality, which I don't know exactly what is missing, but yeah, I think it was about altering the table, which were some tests from previous things. Add password reset column. Yeah, let's just remove that because this was more or less for testing. Oops, and kick that away. And then move it into the createUserTable function, basically over here. Keep it here. And we don't need this. I also remember I was how to create a multi-line string in C++. Do I need to use a special notation? I'm not sure. No, probably I don't. Or should I be using a string stream and then convert it? Yeah, maybe it makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. Okay. GitLab Duo Chat hates me today. But we can do that on our own. We want to add a new column for password text. So what we can do is let's use a string stream for this one. Oops. What is an interesting summary? But I can use a workaround. I just figured I don't need to do it myself. I just call, let's see what Refactor is doing. Refactor into a string stream with multiple lines. Let's see if I can get a better suggestion here. Or the other way, I could also do it if I don't get like the answers for basic functionality. Create a string stream for the, okay, that's great. For creating the table, new line for each column. See what it does on this side. On the right hand side in Duo Chat, I already got something I wanted to see. No, okay, it's not doing what I want to do. Auto increment the primary key. I was actually generating the source code earlier. Let's do something else. I think refactor still is the better approach here because code already exists, and now I'm trying to kind of get a suggestion, even if the code below exists. But if I put the instructions in the right terms, I'm not entirely satisfied. Let's go ahead and use what Duo Chat suggested here and fix the indent. No, this was one too much. We do have string stream. Yeah, we have string stream. We need to call the str function on the string stream to convert it to a string again. And the reason why I wanted to do it this way, even though it's a little more like memory overhead, it's easier to format and easier to adapt, especially if we, for example, want to assign a default value which gets passed as a variable name or something like that. But yeah, I think city string stream, I think incomplete type is not allowed. String stream, I don't know. No. Maybe it's, no, I think I need to include the string class. No. Why is it saying incomplete? String stream const char. Rate deduction. Why does function time doesn't match? Basic O stream does not match parameter. Candidate function template failed deduction. Maybe I'm doing things wrong here. Which header include is required for string stream? Please show a source code example for the DB SQL state. I think it was it SS string. Yeah, okay. And okay, I also got a helpful answer here. So stream and select from. Okay, this makes sense. It's basic C++ knowledge, but I'm also getting a little tired today. So yesterday was CI/CD components. Today is GitLab Duo and AI learning, or using AI to get more efficient. But yeah, this is good. We want to use this one and split it up as like this one. Okay. Oops. Let's continue. And we also need to like use this. Oh, that's great. It knows from above, from below. And we also need to fix something because this what cannot be empty. Oh yeah, okay. And we have password. We did have the reset one, which we have. Oh, yeah, I'm taking it. I think this is a great addition, but I also want to include the. Oh, we can actually delete a user. No, I want to add reset. Let's see. Reset password. Okay, now it doesn't have the scope from below, I guess. Reset password. Boolean. Oops. False works. Okay. Hold false. And this is essentially what we want to do here. So we don't want to use alter statements in different transactions, but keeping this in a single transaction. We could print that for debugging purposes. This is helpful. But I could also just call. Do we have access to? No, we don't have access to the utility functions. But I can include. Oh, no, it was util. Should find the lookup path. And probably the utility function print line or print text or print text. No, print text is undefined. Yeah, it makes sense to refactor that into a class as well, but provide static methods. We can ask. Maybe as a last step today, because when you are debugging and learning, time is running fast, and we exceeded 1 hour already. But refactor into a class providing static functions. Because when the function is static, we can just call like util :print text, and don't need to instantiate any pointers or objects. Before we continue, print utils, okay, print text, print line. Yeah, I think it's better to use that, but I want to use util. So util. It's using the same things. And the thing is, I don't want to implement them here. I could implement them inline if it's easier, but I prefer for readability to keep everything in a single interface. It's static, and no, I don't need to use IOStream here. I also need to ensure same pattern as before. We want to add it to the util class, so the function is implemented. Actually, I think I don't need that, because the lookup path works. So we have the util function, and when we include that here, not here, but in this file, we could actually say util print text. Util name followed, yeah. Class or a namespace name. What's util? Explicit type is missing. Let's compile it and see what's happening. Okay, now I broke everything else, which is using that. So we need to use that and use that. And then we need to replace this one with util this one. What am I doing wrong here? Let's print utils. What to call it? The static functions in the class. I think I'm missing some. Maybe the I think I'm just blind because the class also needs to be static. Otherwise, I cannot implement everything. Funny. No, I'm not sure if this makes sense. Public class util static void should work. And the main function also has in text, which should be replaced by this. Oh, it's actually good. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said include. Oops. Why did it replace everything? No, I want to call DB SQLite this one. And this one, because otherwise it uses the lookup path, like it tries to guess something. And whatever. This one, I don't want to replace that. What did I do now? Oh, yeah, maybe call it not util. Maybe I should rename that. Don't save. Provide a direct path and not depend on my own guesses. Like this one. Probably this includes also something which is not intended. Always use the same path because the compiler will figure it out anyways. So this one is correct. This one is not. And now it should work because we're using the right classes. Oh, it compiles. Interesting. Okay. So we have a util class now. We do have everything else here. And we also refactored the creation of the user table into this one. I don't remember, was it show create table? If it don't exist, but we can do that later on. Let's try for the first time in this session to actually run the source code after the major refactoring into object-oriented patterns, and see that we have users in there. Everything was inserted, and I'm interested in, let's use Control R to search for SQLite. Oh yeah, do I have some history here? Yeah, I have some history. I can run .schema users ID touch. Okay, for some reason, wait, no, Control D. Let's delete the databases. Let's run it again. Okay, no, it doesn't work because creating user table created successfully. Constraint failed users password. Oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have added a constraint immediately. And failed users password. Creating random users. Okay, it's not set. Unable to close due to. Okay. Yeah, we need to improve the error handling. And we also need to. Maybe we can keep it in. Debug to do remove. It's always great. Maybe you change that to print debug or something like that. What we need to do now is we're getting unit constraint errors, which is great because we're not debugging why an error is not initialized, but we need to adapt the. And now I really want to move that into a specific include. So let's create just one before we end here. Does this work? Yeah. User. Let's move the user definition into define user underscore. Oops, this was the wrong one. If def user underscore age. Fine, and if. And this requires include string, which should provide us with this one, and then we just include exactly user.h. This is what we need here. Const user, this is a struct at the moment. We will add a to-do here. Refactor into class, add set get methods. This is something which isn't auto-generated in C++. I do know it's available in Java, but I also remember. Oh, interesting. Yeah, let's do that next time. But in C++, you can also like create code generators that solve the problem for you. But it's not the default. Let's keep using that. Still delete the database, then no, this was wrong. First delete the database, build the source code, and run it again. Okay. Yeah, okay, I was too fast. I also need to provide a field which is password. Thanks. I don't need to think today. We save that, and then we need to refactor the source code for user 1 and user 2. Super secret place me. We also want to like replace that. Shouldn't be plain text. Let's add another to do. Provide password hashing and interfaces to update, avoiding collision attacks, etc. So this is an extra layer of like how to create a password and store it using OpenSSL or something else. But it's really a different approach, which will exceed the session today. I just really want to fix what is happening. Fix the unit constraints and user email. Okay, this is like providing a vector. Oh, hey, I was hoping for that. It knows what I'm doing, so I can get a suggestion, and then I'm able to build it again. No, I'm not. Did user email? Oh, did I do update user email? This was one too much. Which line are we in? In this line? This actually works. Pressing command. This is not great. It's updating the user email. Okay, this is not what we want to do. And now I can run it. It still doesn't work because adding user. Inserting test users. What does this do? Int const. I'm not sure I like the initialize order of a class. Can we change that into attribute assignment Initialization lists. Maybe we can use initializer list. This is a little error prone depending on the order. Yeah, I don't think this is more efficient and clear. Okay, I can just create the object and then assign it manually. Or we, do we have a create user function? Let's try a different approach. Refactor into create user function, taking parameters and returning a user checked pointer. Actually, like, okay, it's going a little bit beyond what I wanted to do with the user class here. But maybe it makes sense to provide just an interface for the class as well. Create user. It's a unique pointer. I mean, I can put. This is not super amazing source code now. No, let's not put it here, but put it here in the user thing. Here. Yeah, I can just define it in the header for now. Create user, return user. And then just call that in the main function. I think this works. The only problem is this is not compatible with that. I'm just wondering why does it. What is a unique pointer in that regard? Yeah, okay, let's use the unique pointer, but I still don't think it is well. Yeah, let's maybe. I'm giving up on this here. I just want to not change that anymore. So let's not do that today. Keep it here. Change the DB SQLite function to copy this one into this one, remove that, and say password text can be empty. Default. Okay, when the default is empty, it's still okay. To do update code to always provide password string. If we remove that, build it again, it should work. We delete the database for testing. We recreate everything. And now the example works again. So we have the data in the database. We can access it here. You can see the schema being created. And oh, no, I actually want to select everything from users So we also get everything from users. This is what I wanted to test. I can see myself in here, and we also get the default current timestamp in here. This is not using, in order to do use timestamp with time zone. This will also be different handling in PostgreSQL and MySQL. Or native UTC. So could also work as just storing it at UTC. Okay, but this works for me. Let's move over here and build it again, and then say refactor into DB SQLiteDB class implement functions. Refactor more code. This is great. Let's push it. And we have it available already publicly in the project, which will also be linked down below in the recording. That being said, let's do a short recap what we did today. And it's probably it wasn't so much, but we looked into refactoring the database function handling from like generic functions into a class, and also reusing the function interface for or the struct attributes with the database path and the SQLite handle, which is stored now as a private member of the class here. It's not an attribute, it's a class member. That's the term I was looking for earlier. And we also created a virtual, a pure virtual implementation of all the functions we want to use, which enforces everyone like inheriting from that base class to actually implement the functions, debug certain implementation errors based on that, learn about virtual and pure virtual, which allows us to implement the specifics in the background for SQLite, and we can reuse the same pattern to, for example, instantiate a class for PostgreSQL, which then implements all the handling here. For SQLite, for example, we needed to override the default constructor to provide a DB path. For PostgreSQL, we might be using host and port, or alternatively using a Unix socket. So there are certain things that differ, but this is like the preparation when we move along, implementing more database backends, which can be a future example or exercise to use more GitLab Duo Chat help, use more code suggestions help, and also explore more use cases how AI could be helpful here. In the end, we also moved the user struct into a specific header, which we will refactor later on in a future session into a class as well, providing some get and set methods and generally cleaning up the source code. The source code itself still needs additions for like the schema, for providing a password mechanism, for the updates and so on. But after all, it's working relatively well. One of the next steps is also to either use a predefined set of users to being created, or provide an API to create users, or something else. So at some point, the C++ application will probably run as a daemon using providing a REST API and then doing all the database handling in the background. I'm not sure if we will get there next week, but probably in the next couple of weeks. So if you want to stay in touch, the playlist is also linked down below. Yeah, and if you have any questions, feel free to like jump on the community forum on forum.gitlab.com or the Discord. Join the feedback issue with your feedback on GitLab Duo code suggestions and also chat. Yeah, and hopefully you have learned something new today as well as I did. And see you next time. Bye-bye, and have a great rest of your day wherever you are.